My name is Cloud. Soldier. First class.
Cloud is the undisputed protagonist of Final Fantasy VII, right gamers? Sure, he's cocky and arrogant,
興味ないね。
but the dude has a decent enough character progression. We get a juicy love triangle between him and the female leads, which ends in tragedy at the hands of Sephiroth. Well, we think it does. But rising out of those ashes, he learns to deal with his past and present traumas and puts the dire needs of the planet and his companions in front of his own by the end. Right? Wrong. It's all about Zack.
Oh yeah!
Everything is about this Gongaga guy. Cloud? He is but a mere footnote to this entire story. Take the Buster Sword, for example. That iconic weapon that basically identifies Cloud isn't even his. It's Zack's. Aerith's hairstyle with that ribbon? That's all thanks to Zack. Cloud falling through the church roof? Zack is responsible. Don't believe me? Stay tuned. Aerith getting interested in Cloud in the first place? Yeah, he's got Zack to thank for that. What about Cloud's first-class uniform? Zack dressed him. He took Cloud's clothes off and changed him into that uniform. Because Cloud had been saturated with Mako poisoning for the last 4 years and had been reduced to a frothing vegetable. Awkward, I know. But this is the real deal here, gamers. Real. Like Cloud really being able to beat Sephiroth, seemingly with ease, as a 16-year-old grunt infantryman? Trust me, this was because of Zack. Aerith selling flowers. Yep, Zack's idea. Random Cissenate girl in Gongaga? You can trace her back to Zack. Cloud brandishing an umbrella to fight on the beach? His victory pose? Steals them from Zack too. Cloud turning the valve in what was unquestionably the most exciting minigame in Rebirth, not being sarcastic in the least? Even that tedious act wasn't his. Sephiroth raising Nibelheim and walking away? It's a memory imprinted in gamers' collective minds for a quarter century. But Cloud never even saw this. Just the fact that this spiky-haired blonde simply survived up to the opening events of Final Fantasy VII? Yep, Zack.
It's showtime!
Zack and Angeal, Zack and Sephiroth went to Nibelheim, and Zack went on missions all around the work. Zack, he was just Gongaga. Zack worked with Sung, and Zack and Angeal, they were really tight. A big part of Sephiroth's backstory. You know what? If it wasn't for Zack, Aerith and Zack, they were just an amazing couple. Yep.
I'm Zack.
Zack. It was all about Zack.
Is to become
Zack
a
was a
hero.
much better
That
soldier.
voice
Actor
actor
is atrocious. Zack was the main guy.
Oh yeah!
Zack.
Zack!
Zack!
What in the hell is going on?
Here's the thing about Final Fantasy VII. I'm talking the mainline OG PlayStation original now. It's a game that's all about showing off and preserving Zack's legacy. Cloud? Cloud, he's just this little errand boy that just kind of fills Zack's role throughout the plot. He's more Zack than he is himself through the majority of the story.
For you are but a puppet, my puppet.
Ouch. But you know what? That's really not much of an exaggeration. Sure, Zack's a restless puppy.
0 attention span. Restless as a little puppy.
But better to be that than a puppet.
You're just a puppet.
And Cloud's more of a Zack puppet than Sephiroth's. Interested? Let's keep it going. Good to see you, gamers. I'm Shep from Gaming Introspection, a huge Final Fantasy fan like many of you. Please like and subscribe if RPGs are your jam, and let's discuss the importance of Zack's main adventure. Crisis Core, especially the remade version, is an absolutely essential piece of Final Fantasy VII history that you must experience to fill in the many gaps in Cloud's awfully inconsistent narration, which shows up a lot, especially in the remake trilogy.
What's his name? I probably know him.
If you haven't played it yet, you're in for a treat. There's no damn whisper ghosts that change all the events you've come to expect before, that subsequently become final bosses or join Team Sephiroth or Team Weapon. There's no multiple timelines or jumping back and forth between realities with holy materia. It's just a historical time capsule of Shinra life, back when Sephiroth actually demonstrated human qualities, and Zack was an up-and-coming second-class soldier who had the benefit of amazing role models to help him. Even if they eventually become intertwined in a weird genetic-altering story that involves grotesque human faces on monsters, copied clones, and the most rambling, unlikable villain in Final Fantasy VII history.
Legend shall speak of sacrifice. At world's end, the wind sails over the water's surface, quietly, but surely.
Yeah, he sucks. We won't be mentioning him a lot, though. Luckily, your favorites are still integral to this tale and show up often enough that you feel connected to them in a very lasting, positive way, as they are all vital to the setup of the game you know all so well. But Zack, he's the one that Final Fantasy VII owes its legacy to.
Embrace your dreams. And, whatever happens, protect your soldier honor. Got it? Sir!
It's time to explore how important Crisis Core is to the legacy of 4 of the most important characters in the genre's lore. Just follow my lead.
All right, follow my lead.
Look at you taking charge! Good news, Sung! Me and
Cloud.
Cloud here are both backwater experts. Oh yeah!
Since it occurs right away in this clip I'm about to show, I'm just gonna come clean right now. I've been pronouncing Gongaga incorrectly, well, since the beginning. Some destinations, like Gongaga. But in my defense, the name is so ridiculous and silly, no matter how you pronounce it. This Cloud and Zack interaction confirms it.
Nibelheim. How about you?
Me? Gungaga. Hey, what's so funny about that? You know Gungaga?
No, but it's such a backwater name.
It's like the game knew how dumb this sounded.
Me? Gungaga.
Me? Gungaga.
Sounds like a caveman introducing himself. Oh, hey there. I haven't seen you around here before. No, I'm Ben Smith. What's your name? Me? Gungaga. Oh, yeah, that's nice. You know what? I think I left something in my car. I'm just gonna go and get that. I think this line became a meme, actually. Are memes still a thing? Anyway, there's a lot more to this relationship dynamic than this one cringe conversation. So let's dive into it. These two hit it off right away. It was smart for Square to have both originate from similar backwater, middle-of-nowhere towns to give them some instant familiarity and talents. It's not just some random coincidence or the future tragedy that prompted Cloud to be impacted by Zack. They legitimately find commonality when the stakes are lower. It's realistic. Crisis Core's memory intrusions, which we'll reference a few times, so be prepared, also give proof that the two did some more missions together, apart from the main plotline. And Cloud's DMV limit break for Zack, Meteor Shots, gives some beautiful Meteor Rain references, which die-hard fans will love. But let's cut to the chase. A common question asked by fans everywhere about Final Fantasy VII is, how in the hell is it possible that the scrawny, 16-year-old, embarrassed loser version of Cloud, such a disgrace that he won't even show himself to the public eye, is able to summon the strength to toss this world-renowned, most powerful, genetically perfect soldier in the world anticlimactically into the life stream, and doing so after being impaled? Yeah, you can yell out it was just adrenaline boost, or rage against the guy who did this to my town and family. You can do that all you want. But this is Sephiroth we're talking about here. Just look at this overwhelming evidence. He toys with Angel and Genesis, two first-class soldiers in their prime, one-on-one, but even in a two-on-one bout, with absolute ease. They can't make a mark on him. He parries everything and resists omnipresent fireball magic like it's absolutely nothing. He cuts Junon's cannon into pieces and makes it fall into the ocean! There's no way that this little guy could pose any threat to him. Normally, this would be true. Here's the thing though, Zack fought Sephiroth first, and damn near won. It's a very cool standoff. Both soldiers precariously balanced on this narrow ledge. If you fall off, it's game over. This climax only occurs after a marathon duel in which Zack fends off Sephiroth's swordplay and elemental materia crystals deep in the reactor core. It's such a throwback to old Final Fantasy bosses. It reminds me of Culex in Super Mario RPG with that crystal vibe actually, which makes sense, as this is a hidden Final Fantasy Easter egg, complete with the Final Fantasy IV boss music. Sorry for the random tangent. I'm known for those. The two don't hold back. Both operatives are at their best, going toe-to-toe, magic and grunting and sword parrying for minutes on end. My point being, this is a multi-phase fight, and while Sephiroth still emerges as the victor, it's not like Zack didn't put up a lot of resistance. The original game makes it look like Zack got the everlasting ass kicked out of him. He doesn't even last 5 seconds here. In truth, by the time Sephiroth finally subdues him and shambles back upwards to the Genova altar, he is winded. It also helps Cloud that he was able to take advantage of his idol's obsessive staring and stab Sephiroth in the friggin' back. Which, kudos to Square, is quite faithful to the original. Some might argue that this was dishonorable or cowardly, but given the circumstances and what Cloud has just witnessed, I think we can forgive the 16-year-old kid on this one. That's going to hurt, even Sephiroth. Naturally, Sephiroth retaliates with a precise strike, not killing Cloud due to the placement of the blade, though it's still ridiculous how Cloud slowly uses the Masamune as a lever, while Sephiroth just stands there in shock. I mean, come on, it's not like being injured turns off all of your combat instincts, so I can't blame you if you're not convinced by all this evidence. But it definitely makes it easier to imagine than Cloud just using the main character power to overcome impossible odds. Isn't it cathartic to know that this memory was the real deal? Most of Cloud's rambling backstory is pure BS, but he legitimately did do this incredible kill strike. Cloud was always there, through everything, and if you play through Crisis Core, you're going to notice so many of these moments brought to you again, recreated in amazing 4K detail. It's one of the best features of this game. Don't get too excited though, because Crisis Core explains so much more than this, which disproves a lot of other Cloud declarations. Those simple things, like Cloud talking to Sephiroth about his origins and being ordered to close the valve, that was never him. Zack all the way.
This section is broken. Zack, go seal the valve.
We'll discuss this in detail later, but this was a chilling, worrisome event for Zack, as was his final confrontation with Sephiroth, and the power of these memories transferred over to Cloud in his damaged state, as he was being experimented on, with Zack in the test tube right beside him, because both of them were incapacitated after this horrific trial, until Zack miraculously breaks out and punches this poor schmuck in the face. I still have issues here. Something even this game doesn't elaborate on is why it took 4 years for this to happen. Was Zack just comatose in these tubes for that long? Angel, I guess, makes an appearance in a vision that inspires him to break the glass open? But if he's the reason why Zack recovers, why did he take so long? Wait! This Angel guy, he's literally like the closest thing you can get to a guardian angel. Who waits 4 years before checking up on the closest thing to family that you've got? The worst part is that Cloud lost the rest of his teenage years just chilling in a tube. It's no wonder he's so socially awkward and emotionally repressed as a 21-year-old.
Here, this is for you.
Just my luck.
I heard that, you know.
Keep your distance.
Which ones do you think we should pick?
Any of them.
The guy doesn't even know how to high-five someone.
Yeah? That went pretty well.
Sure did.
Huh? Wait a minute, did you just...
Nope.
But then why can he breakdance? Zack doesn't dance. Squats are not dancing. Chest popping aside, the new trilogy excels at hiding Cloud's emotional futility. In Remake, Cloud's all proud, talking about being in barracks and on the battlefield. That's where he says he feels the most comfortable, so he's got a built-in excuse to not bond with others easily. But that wasn't it. He was ambitious, and sure, maybe it was mostly because of hormones at first.
Promise, you'll come and save me.
Huh?
That's what heroes do. They save people. Come on, promise me.
Fine. I promise.
But you can tell he wanted so much to succeed, and even as a grunt, he hadn't given up hope. And he worked his ass off to help the mission pan out, never forgetting his promise to Tifa all the while.
Thank you.
Mako poisoning, trauma of the highest level, and shattered memories? That would cause anyone to have some serious difficulties when it comes to making lasting, trusting relationships.
Where have you been this whole time? For 5 years.
You know I can't tell you that.
Of course you can't.
Zack's past is so entrenched with Cloud, even his early training missions, which weren't even real, they were just VR episodes, but somehow they came to fruition during Cloud's real-life first missionary job. And when we see Cloud flourish his blade in front of him after an especially impressive victory, this is just a variation of Zack's traditional winning stance. Even this motion was imprinted onto him when everything real inside him fell apart. Besides these unlikely memories turned real, Crisis Core gives us glimpses of real events that Cloud frankly has no recollection of in any of the following games. Some are superfluous, like when we see more examples of his motion sickness pop up. But others are more substantial. Lazard, the chief officer that deployed Zack on missions, ended up protecting Cloud while he was catatonic. He spent months kind of living in a motorbike. Dude was not even aware of all the high danger situations he got into while Zack tried to save him. And when Angel was going haywire, dealing with his mutations, Cloud and Sung attempted to defend themselves against him, getting very badly hurt. These two actually work together a lot more often than you'd think. Sung is by far the least prominent Turk in the original game. His only big scenes are when he kidnaps Aerith at the plate, and then... Yeah, that one. And Cloud doesn't react to him because he doesn't have his personal baggage in order. It's all about Sephiroth. There's happier moments Cloud fails to recollect too. After Angeal's death, wherein Zack pretty much takes over as the commanding officer for Shinra's military, that inspiring speech, you briefly see Cloud's POV, taking this all in, still wanting to make Soldier and do his best. This is just amazing. Zack's journey, even more so. Cleverly implemented, the digital mind wave helps players know just how powerful of an effect memories can have on people in this universe. When Zack thinks about his interactions with Cisne or Aerith, his emotions go into those sky-high or heavenly states, which is humorous, but also apt for his character. Cloud is present in many of these as well, as are all of the people closest to him. This guy bonded with so many people, and so it's all the more heartbreaking when, at the end of the game, as you're struggling to keep him alive, those memories start to fizzle out. He's trying so damn hard to hold on to them, but in the end, his physical body just can't take it anymore. As Zack lay dying, he tells Cloud to be his living legacy, to bear the burden of being a soldier and take up the mantle in his place. With Cloud's corrupted, Mako-poisoned mind, combined with the trauma of seeing his friend die right in front of him, these words became truer than Zack ever would have thought in those dying breaths. Because no sooner does Cloud make it down that cliffside and into Midgar do we see him on that train with a brand new identity to protect his fractured ego, starting the most important RPG journey in gaming history.
My name is Cloud. Soldier. First class.
And now, we are right back where we started. Can you feel the chills? Whew. Let's back up a bit though. That last memory before Zack's body can't take any more physical pain, that special someone he tried to hold on to the most at the very end. We know who takes that hallowed spot, and Crisis Core helps us understand why.
Heaven?
Not quite.
An angel?
No, I'm Aerith.
Given how cool, confident, and powerful Zack is, it's easy to assume he would have come across Aerith in his travels, put the moves on her, and easily had her wooed to be his girlfriend. You want to know what really made Aerith notice him though? It wasn't good looks or charm or anything like that. Nah, he just fell through the roof.
You fell from the sky.
Huh?
Scared me.
Yep, you thought Cloud really made a dramatic entrance when he plummeted down from the Sector 5 catwalk, didn't you? Psh, lame. Dude didn't have any originality. He was just borrowing from Zack, like he always does, who coincidentally had his own climactic encounter above Sector 5 with his former mentor, who lashed out at him, struggling with his Genova mutations, sending him crashing down to the church. It's no wonder Aerith wasn't too shocked at this in the OG Final Fantasy VII. It's old hat by this point. You know how you're not supposed to just wait for the love of your life to waltz through the front door? Well, that's very true. The real trick is to wait for them to come crashing through your damn ceiling. Oh, Jesus. Oh, God. It's over. I think it's over. Aerith has had to deal with a lot. Losing her mother when she was only 7 at the train station, the prospects of finding happiness so slim, and then 10 years later, she has to instruct this unruly rookie soldier to not step on the flowers.
Stop. Don't step on the flowers.
Which happens again 5 years later.
Hey, watch the flowers!
But she truly does enjoy the slums. Many new players to the series might have been confused at the end of Remake, where Aerith laments leaving that steel sky behind, given how destitute of a life this must be.
I miss it. The steel sky.
But that's because she felt truly at home, as depressing as the slums were. She believed in the dreams and hopes of a population just trying to make it work. She felt insulated and bonded with the people there. She was liked by everyone and could help kids out who were straying on the wrong path, like this kid, Bruno, who was turning into a common thief.
You know, Aerith believed in you.
Don't do it again.
Okay.
Okay, good. Now we're friends again.
And now, well, here's this young, sexy soldier hitting on her. So what more would she need? Not to mention, she gets to live in the only healthy, habitable place for miles.
There you go. That's my house.
It's amazing.
It's amazing Aerith doesn't get more frustrated by Cloud in his miserable attempts at bonding with her during Remake.
What'd they say?
It's not like you'd believe me after all.
Tell me anyway.
My hero.
Never a dull moment with you.
That a compliment?
Not really.
Because Zack was all over this flower girl. No, not like that. PG-13 here. Sure, he's a bit absent-minded and doesn't follow through very well, but his idea of Aerith selling flowers was straight from the heart.
We're launching Operation Midgar Full of Flowers, Wallet Full of Money.
Hey, Zack. Did you mean it? Selling the flowers?
Of course. There's no turning back after this.
They have real chemistry, unlike Cloud.
So, where are you going?
Don't know.
I'll take you.
Where?
Dunno.
You just want to spend more time with me.
Yeah.
Huh? What?
It's justified that Aerith gives Zack what I think is the most powerful digital mind wave limit break. It basically functions like her ultimate Final Fantasy VII limit break, Great Gospel, healing Zack completely and bestowing temporary invincibility. And it shows up a lot, which I don't think is a coincidence. Even small quotes like Aerith's one date promise for Cloud's bodyguarding services can be traced back to the beginning of Aerith and Zack's relationship, with the roles just being reversed. There's buffoonery and cringe, to be sure, especially with Zack's awful voice actor. Seriously, listen to some of these gems.
Whoa, this is not good. Zack here. I was checking out a revolving wall and was jumped. You should never steal from people.
Maybe you'll even get mail from new friends you make.
Yes.
However, there's also no cliched teenage angst as Zack clumsily courts her. This is refreshing. Zack goes to such great lengths. He asks Aerith about what she likes, creates perfumes for her, helps out the community, cleaning up materia, making positive impressions with the locals, and at the end of it all, buys Aerith her trademark hair ribbon that completes her adorable look that we've all become so accustomed to. It's tough to picture her without it, and this is where it all started.
Thank you, Zack. I'll treasure this.
Zack has this dating thing cased, as Aerith is eager to go to the park with him afterwards. This is how you build chemistry with someone. You talk to them, actually hang out, spend some time with them, sprinkle in a few thoughtful gestures. This actually isn't a bad script to follow for a real-life situation. I mean, how many of us are going to fight off gangs of assassin special force troops just to take a woman to the park? We would be killed. Don't do that. This whole sequence depicts an earnest and honest young man. Even when Aerith states her disdain for soldiers' methods, Zack isn't discouraged. He makes his intentions clear, wanting to follow through, but always getting ransacked by the unpredictable Shinra mission schedule and failing to get that date he desires. There's also bonus memories that showcase more of his epic failures, that lend some lightheartedness and warmth to this couple. The park excursion in particular, when it finally happens, gives new context to this scene in Remake, and the original for that matter, where Cloud and Aerith meet in that same spot.
How about we take a break? Sound good?
Of course, that's where she wanted to take a break. Can you imagine what Aerith must have been feeling here? She would have been flashing back so hard, especially when she gazes into Cloud's Mako eyes. It's no wonder why this is where she talks about Zack to Cloud for the first time. But Cloud's fractured memories mean he gets nothing from this. By the end of the story, our hearts break for Zack and Aerith, especially after we hear how many letters she had sent to him over the course of 4 years when he was being experimented on.
This is the 89th letter that I've sent to you.
88 letters in 4 years! That's like 2 letters a month! As if this moment didn't already hurt enough, with her Cetra powers cluing her in on Zack's passing as that rain falls down. It's a gut punch that never gets explored. It's not in the original in the least. The only clue we get is Aerith's finishing pose during the battles. She's praying, remembering Zack constantly. And it makes sense. Remember, this moment isn't long at all before the start of Final Fantasy VII. This loss is still fresh in Aerith's mind as you see her patrolling the slum streets, desperately trying to sell flowers in a harsh and uncaring world, with only those happy memories of Zack keeping her going. Come to think of it, I've always wondered this. Just how long of a time frame was it? From the moment Zack dies saving Cloud to when Cloud shows up disoriented at the train station and reunites with Tifa? Would it have been a week or so? Let me know, please. That's always been a bit of context Square's never given us. Regardless, Aerith's emotional wounds are fresh. And isn't that crazy to think about? If Zack hadn't put in this flower wagon effort, Aerith would have given up the idea of ever selling them in the first place, especially not on the upper plate. The game goes into some goofy, funny territory here, with Zack ending up making 3 separate wagons, each with a unique style, like this violent-looking one. It looks pretty sweet, but it attracts the security force. While a bit overdone, this whole sequence helps solidify his commitment to her. Aerith believes that he's into her for the right reasons.
That's me and Aerith's dream. Not just the slums. Lower and Upper Midgar will be full of flowers.
I mean, she hasn't even given him his proper date yet, and he's running around Midgar looking for flower wagon materials. If this endeavor failed, she wouldn't have found the courage to peddle her flowers on the streets, and subsequently, Cloud wouldn't have met her in Midgar on that fateful day. Aerith is quite reserved and unsure of Zack early in Crisis Core's story, but she adopts his playful side and flirty demeanor later on, after meeting Cloud.
Maybe I'll go on ahead and leave you all by your lonesome. Huh. Gotcha.
You're killing me here.
It's as if she feels she's got a second chance here, and it makes her death all the more tragic. What are the chances that she coincidentally meets one of Zack's best friends soon after his death? Sure, he is definitely a work in progress, and she's endured a heartbreak of an incredible magnitude, dragging her unrequited feelings out for 5 years, staying faithful and unwavering. And just when there was a little bit of hope, when Zack breaks free, he ends up dying saving Cloud and ending those hopes just as quickly, only for Aerith to transfer this heartbreak onto Cloud when she meets her own shocking end. Man, Final Fantasy VII is a tragedy unlike any other in some respects. But then again, as Advent Children showed us, these two have been reunited for all eternity. So maybe that first pure love was destined to last forever after all. The chemistry they have certainly would suggest as much. So, we've gotten a bit more of an understanding now of the interplay between these three. It's about as complicated of a love story as you can imagine. But without Final Fantasy VII's main antagonist, the characters' construction and their fates could never be so memorable. We need to investigate Zack and Sephiroth's intertwined soldier careers. One of the first big moments of crisis in Crisis Core is Zack getting in way over his head against the famous Ifrit, only to see Sephiroth save him by insta-killing the fire beast. What other game delivers a moment like that? Sephiroth's fame and fortune is given much more spotlight here. Dude has his own fan club. You can even get in yourself if you're familiar with his most famous characteristics. He's given credit for other people's accomplishments constantly. Like, even after Zack kicks ass and this Wutai place gets blown up, the media is all about how Sephiroth was so brave. Very true commentary on our real-life news media.
Dreams crushed.
Sephiroth wasn't even there!
I don't see Sephiroth today, but are you gay?
Such is his influence, though. He inspired the other main characters, Genesis and Angeal, to join Soldier. Genesis was so obsessed with the guy, his life ambition as a kid was to present Sephiroth with apples. The story does a great job at showing how Shinra hyped up their super soldier as the face of their image and omnipotence.
Holy.
There's obviously a lot of great stuff between Sephiroth and Zack sprinkled throughout the game, although I felt it was surprisingly less than I would have expected. Nevertheless, you see a lot of ups and downs. Following what seems to be Angeal's betrayal, Zack gets thrown into this Wutai mission due to Sephiroth's refusal to attack Genesis and Angeal. It's so anticlimactic that Zack finally gets to join First Class, especially when Memory is showcasing how much he wanted it, but with all the other Firsts deserting the company, he pretty much gets promoted by default.
I thought I'd be happier.
Sephiroth, to his credit, stealthily joins Zack in an effort to safeguard their colleagues, who have fallen out of Shinra's favor. It's amazing to see some small snippets of actual humanity from this guy, not wanting to fight Angeal and Genesis, who were comrades in arms, and the closest thing he had to friends. Sephiroth devises a plan in which he and Zack fail to carry their orders out.
You and I will find them before they do.
And what?
Fail. To eliminate them.
Awesome! We're gonna fail!
As Zack notes, these three were tight. In fact, in the aftermath of a ridiculously intense training session, Genesis gets a wound that the scientist Hollander says can't be cured without a transfusion, and Sephiroth is unable to help, showing pain and regret about not being able to be a donor due to his Genova cells being pure, which Hollander doesn't want Genesis to have, but that's a whole other can of worms. Or cells in this case. Yeah. Needless to say, it goes into some pretty convoluted experimental backstory, and you see how much of a pain Genesis is going to be. Once the huge attack on Junon hits, Sephiroth chastises Zack for failing to catch Hollander.
Mission failed. This goes on your permanent record.
And for good reason. Look at all these abysmal failures, one right after the other.
Zack, go.
Stop! Ah, damn it!
Damn that Hollander. Where'd he go?
You lost him, huh?
Yeah, I'm having problems.
Are you serious? Zack can dodge a hailstorm of bullets, jump across steel beams while on a speeding train, evade rocket launchers using Matrix-style jumps, and go toe-to-toe with the most genetically enhanced soldier who ever lived. But he cannot catch up to and subdue a middle-aged, out-of-shape scientist.
Come.
Give me a goddamn break. Anyway, despite this failure, Sephiroth again shows some real empathy here. He knows about Zack's recent developments with Aerith, and gives him permission to revisit the slums to see her, dressing it up in a realistic cloak, since Genesis clones are spotted there as well, so it's not like it would be suspicious. He even tells Zack to take care.
Yeah.
Take care.
You too.
All of these subtle nods, to me, convince the player to pin the blame of the Final Fantasy VII conflict mostly on the shady, greedy, and godlike persona of the Shinra Corporation, specifically the president. Like, he had this coming. Sephiroth isn't created without all these narcissistic, power-hungry people wanting to play God and take everything and more from a planet that's just barely hanging on. Even when things start to go sour, Sephiroth is surprisingly honest with his intentions about leaving Shinra during this later mission, which leads into the whole Nibelheim incident. You can see that his faith in the company has been rattled and steadily deteriorating, which only furthers his suspicions when the reactor event occurs. Given everything that's come to pass, Zack too follows Sephiroth's line of thought. It's not surprising that his trust in Soldier would waver when its people are discarded so easily.
Is that how little Soldier is worth? What exactly do I have left to fight for?
One flaw, though, is that some details that you'd think would have been elaborated on simply aren't there. Like, did Zack join Sephiroth in this fight against the two dragons outside of the truck? Rebirth shows it in amazing detail here, while the original shows Cloud and Sephiroth against the one dragon. But in Crisis Core, he just goes
to Nibelheim.
And in the very next scene, you're just arriving in town. Weak.
That was weak.
I agree, Wave Race announcer guy. For once. There's definitely worthwhile bonuses to be had here. Going back to that whole scene of Sephiroth questioning his own existence, it wasn't here with Cloud. Cloud has nothing to do with this. Accompanied by Zack, Genesis appears.
Am I a human being?
No such luck. You are a monster.
Drops hints about Sephiroth's monstrous origins, what Jenova really is, and the falling out between the two really picks up steam. As part of yet another Shinra experiment, Genesis is degrading, with no cure, unless he feels he's given some of Sephiroth's cells, which are a pure strain from Jenova. The blunt refusal is delivered, and the relationship fractures instantly.
You will rot.
But this is another example of Cloud being given a memory that's completely altered. Neither Zack nor Genesis is part of this in the original game, but Crisis Core ties it into Sephiroth's now much more complex backstory. There's elements keen-eyed fans will latch onto, like Sephiroth not caring about Hollander's threat to eliminate Hojo, who Sephiroth absolutely despises, despite Hojo being his father, in a sense.
My father.
You still got parents, though, right?
My father.
When Sephiroth just secludes himself in this data room in the Shinra building, it brings to mind that scene in the original Final Fantasy VII, where he reads copious amounts of texts in the Shinra mansion to unearth the truth about Jenova, which also shows up here in a slightly altered form. Even his winning pose will appear if you fail to defeat him in the climactic showdown, which you see again when he raises Nibelheim in his psychotic rage. And as you see Zack witnessing it, you're brought back to 1997, when this was supposed to be a moment between you and Cloud, fueling your own motivation, when in actuality, Cloud was sprawled out on the ground, barely conscious, crying for his mom after attempting to brave the flames, and your whole mental picture gets shattered. Well, this has gotten way too heavy. Let's do some squats! Oh yeah, you knew we were gonna get to these. Squats are Zack's defining feature. The dude does not skip leg day. That's why he's so capable and tireless. Dude probably has quad muscles bigger than Barrett's arms, which is no small feat. He performs these everywhere. He'll do them during side quests when NPCs keep moving ungodly slow. And vacation time for Zack is just an opportunity to get more reps of squats in. There's a mini-game endurance run where Zack challenges himself against the ranks of Shinra's soldier force, and it's not even close. In fact, I think the developers made this minigame intentionally easy, even to defeat the highest ranked competition, to show off just how hardcore Zack's workout regimen is. He even inspires other weaker-willed soldiers to do their best after many setbacks. This third-class guy is so pathetic, but has some hilarious quotes. And after you help him, he continues to do squats for the last 20 hours of the plot. He never stops. So what does this have to do with Cloud or Final Fantasy VII in general? Well, in the original, we see him, both in flashbacks and throughout the course of the story, making use of squats to show his excitement, to help earn the dress at Wall Market, and to keep warm while climbing Gaia's Glacier, which, again, was inspired by Zack during his stealth mission, infiltrating a Shinra base. I know it's not the squat animation here, but given how Crisis Core definitely has Zack doing this for the same purpose, it's heavily implied that that's what Cloud was actually doing in order to keep his body temperature high enough. Cloud's screwed up identity means he has an inherent knowledge and passion for squats, though he doesn't embrace it as fully as Zack, because he's not completely him. You can see little instances everywhere in the remake versions, like when they get sucked into the Fort Condor game, obviously during the Wall Market minigame, where he somehow bests muscular jocks with ease, and in Rebirth's training missions, with an up-and-comer defender of Gongaga, which is probably my favorite example, just because of how long-lasting Zack's legacy is shown here. Cloud somehow intrinsically knows the perfect technique and pace for these squats, detailing it step by step, because he's compensating for not having that natural persona of his own. Wrong game. Sorry. Check those videos out too if you're interested. But before you do, let's cast our net even wider and see just how many Zack references like the Buster Sword show up in future entries, like Rebirth. Rebirth alters Final Fantasy VII's story in many ways, which you've no doubt experienced for yourself or read about. And every one of those changes was met with universal acclaim, with absolutely no backlash or controversy from the fan base. What's I can't say it with a straight face. No controversy. Let's talk about weapons. Even casual Final Fantasy VII fans know that Cloud's Buster Sword was originally Zack's. It's implied in the original game, and it's shown again in Advent Children as a decrepit grave marker. What Crisis Core explains is that Zack wasn't the original owner either. The weapon was crafted by Angeal's father, who, instilled with pride for his son's career accomplishment, joining Soldier, borrowed money to craft it, then worked so hard to pay it back that he ended up dying of exhaustion. Jeez. Can Final Fantasy VII ever lay off the tears? The reason why it's in such good shape by the time Zack inherits it from his mentor Angeal is due to the latter's ideals. He wanted to honor his adoptive father's work and not get the blade chipped and worn down and rusty through excessive combat. Angeal still uses it when he has to, saving an overconfident Zack from this monstrosity, for example. But it's just one of those cool trivia bits that us Final Fantasy VII fans love to find out. The honor and weight of upholding it, Angeal maintains, even as he began to break down due to Shinra's experimentation. It's evidenced by the white wing, as opposed to the black one that adorns Sephiroth and Genesis. When he implores Zack to set him free and passes that Buster Sword down, it helped to maintain Zack's hero complex, that sense of honor and legacy that gets passed down subsequently to Cloud, returning in full force in Rebirth's final confrontation.
Embrace your dreams. And whatever happens, protect your honor as a soldier!
It's all wrapped up in a story that puts the Buster Sword in the spotlight as much more than just initial equipment. Very cool. While we're on the combat end of this, all those random commands in that final battle in Rebirth that Zack has, like meteor shots and all that jazz, they're references to the abilities you can use in this game. It's actually a very impressive attention to detail. Too bad you never get to use it at any other point because Square Enix thought it best to focus on giving Cloud a sponge bath, but hey, what are you gonna do? I truly feel like some of those alterations were made explicitly to highlight Zack's omnipresence even more. Take this beach battle bonanza. It's an absurd, very goofy Saturday morning cartoon style plot device where Hojo attempts to steal Cloud's friends in his gigantic ocean octopus machine. In the original, there was no such fight. You never have a battle at Costa del Sol. It was just the getting off point between continents. But in Crisis Core, there's a plot-exclusive moment where Zack is assigned here on vacation, and suddenly the place is overrun with Genesis clones. So he grabs a parasol, like any resourceful soldier would do, and defends himself. Until I experienced Zack's story, I figured Cloud's parasol wielding was simply a JRPG joke, just a goofy inclusion to make people laugh. Ever wonder why Zack's got that scar on his cheek? While you play errand boy as if he's never fought a battle in his life? Well, in the past, he fought a ton, and it came at the hands of his mentor in this life-changing skirmish. Rebirth is strewn with so many more references to Zack. Even Cloud and Yuffie's date is an homage to how Zack and Yuffie got along, back when she was a ninja in training. Isn't that wild? The Easter eggs you'll be able to find out if you play through Crisis Core are just all over the place.
Ah! No! You got me!
Continuing with Rebirth's nods, you'll remember coming across Cissnei, who seems to be the tough but fair leader within the town of Gongaga. If you did not experience Crisis Core's lore, this girl is completely random. She doesn't say much about her backstory at all. But if you undergo some of the toughest submissions, it's revealed how Cissnei has some connection to the Turks. You can even ask her about who she's waiting for, and although she doesn't mention him by name, her whole deal was with Zack. The youngest member of the Turks, she was constantly on surveillance, keeping tabs on him, even when he's supposed to be on vacation. The game doesn't do a great job of showing why or how she changes her attitude towards more of a personal crush or involvement with Zack. Most of it's through the DMV memories, which paints a picture of her double agent life getting in the way of an authentic relationship. Something about Zack must have stuck with her though, because she goes so far as to keep an eye on Zack's family when he returns to Gongaga, and make sure that they're left out of Shinra's obsessive tracking. This turns into a protection that she never abandons, as she's still there, and you can walk right into Zack's parents' house in Rebirth, where they both still reside, alive and well. Zack doesn't really help her on a personal level, which makes it quite abrupt when she basically goes rogue, not helping Shinra locate the soldier as he continues to make his getaway. There's some exciting conflict near the endgame, as Cissnei's resolve wavers back and forth, but she eventually does choose Zack over her superiors, which, considering the odds of an execution penalty she'd be running from afterwards, that's quite impressive. The depressing part is she goes all out, trying to save Cloud and Zack, even convincing Reno and Rude, anti-heroes themselves, to scout them out with a helicopter before Shinra can find them. But somehow, this doesn't work.
Reno, Rude, status.
We got nothing.
You?
Likewise.
And it's stupid. It's not like they're in a tough place to spot. Look at how open this area is. Why was this truck and these two soldiers, which would stand out like a sore thumb, be so hard to spot from a helicopter? Professionals my ass.
Boy, oh boy. The price of freedom is steep.
Crisis Core helped me appreciate Zack's importance, not just to the Final Fantasy VII story, but as a fully fleshed out character himself, with his own trials and tribulations. If all you saw was Rebirth, you might justifiably be out to lunch, confused, and perhaps irritated by these random Zack interruptions, even if you had a general understanding of his role in the original game. You may, like me, have been put off by his awful voice acting that only seems to have one range, that being cheery and heroic and cheery and helpful and cheery even 10 seconds after people are dropping dead right in front of him.
No. No.
I make the rules. See you never!
Nothing he does seems to make any sense or be in tune with his save everyone personality that we get beat over the head with. Look at how close this was to hitting Aerith.
Does he not realize how close he came to crushing Aerith with a friggin' big helicopter?
But I understand his character much better now. He's got that hero complex and a bit of ADHD, always being restless and a bit absent-minded, but still matures as he progresses through his brief soldier career, understanding from personal hardship and tragedy all the lessons that he'd been preached to by Angeal in his formative years. He really goes out of his way to make people believe in themselves, from listening to Cloud's angst about talking to Tifa again, to Aerith's hesitation about selling flowers, even to some random NPC soldier doofus, whom he goes on many missions in place of, just to help out his career. While you progress, you're constantly getting emails from Cloud, Tifa, Kunsel, all counting on him, trusting him, and putting their faith in him. Kunsel doesn't even give up on him after 4 years of silence. Kids are now idolizing him in the dingiest murks of the slums, and his fan base grows to over 100,000 people. These small touches make a huge difference in how we perceive the guy. He simply doesn't give up on others. Even when Cloud is comatose, he's talking to him like a real person, asking him questions and plotting out their future together. And oh yeah, he protected Cloud for an entire year while on the run.
We're friends, right?
Imagine the work involved. He had to protect, feed, bathe, and change Cloud's clothes for an entire year. It takes a true eternal optimist to go through as much as Zack did, but still look for brighter days ahead.
We'll be all right.
That includes those adversaries he defeats.
Why won't you finish me?
Not in the mood.
Zack never finishes anyone off, always letting the door open for the small chance that people can change or achieve whatever dream that they have for themselves. Even the main antagonist, Genesis. Yeah, Zack struggles to see his point of view, but he implores him to retain his honor, and after defeating him, he's going to do his damnedest to save him. By the end, Genesis and Cloud are both like the Walking Dead, along with Lazard. It's honestly a dark comedy, seeing all this triad of near corpses just sitting together. But the soldier never once gives up. Hell, he even finally allows Genesis to realize a long-desired event in the Loveless play he rambles on about constantly, with the 3 heroes reuniting and eating one of those dumb apples at the end. What a stand-up guy. These wholesome, selfless attributes are ones that Cloud fails to pick up on until much, much later on in his development, but through his harrowing experiences with his friends, his priorities change for the better, and Cloud eventually does become that living legacy Zack had always hoped for. So all of that, and it is a lot, it's why I still agree with players who dislike the ending in Remake and its future ramifications.
Wait, was that all of them?
Zack's survival puts so much of this into disarray, cheapens it even. It's like all that he went through, all of his sacrifices, paying the ultimate price. Nah, they just don't matter much anymore because hey, everything's changed. He beat the Shinra army in this timeline. Hooray! If you want to see how I feel about the treatment of some pretty important Final Fantasy VII characters, including Zack, check it out in the link above. Of course, maybe the final piece of the Remake trilogy will put everything back into order in another elaborate Sephiroth monologue, but we're left guessing for now, with unknown journeys and no promises, just explicitly in our face in those big, giant letters so that we can't call Square Enix out, because hey, anything can happen, and it's not their fault. Crisis Core fans, please comment. Which moments left the biggest impression on you? What relationship backstories were the most interesting to explore? And what reveals or answers made the experience worth it for you? I tried to be comprehensive, but did I completely miss out on some? I always enjoy hearing your thoughts. If you want more Final Fantasy VII content, please like and subscribe. I've got retrospectives on the original, critiques on Rebirth's ending, and the Whisper Ghosts of Remake, and much more for you to invest in. Take care of yourselves, gamers. Thanks for tuning in to Gaming Introspection, because it's always good to see ya.